Okay, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Here. Okay, so I just want to go over a couple of quick things again before I start this video for safety. The main thing that I want to talk about was the warranty for a water heater. Okay. When you go into our price book, you're going to see a standard water heater, which is a 6-year warranty. Next thing is there's a 10-year, and I believe there's a 12-year, right? So to get those extended warranties, I just want to validate one more time, you have to pay for the warranty. So it's part of the cost of the job, because you're charging more for that warranty than for the standard water heater. What you can't do is say, oh, I'm going to give you a 10-year warranty and add all these 10-year water heater flushes and all this stuff in there and not charge for it, because then what happens is year 7, year 8, year 9, or year 10, something happens, we have to pay now for a complete water heater, and we're going to pay the warranty for whoever the tech is who installs it, right? So that's going to cost us $1,000 as a company. All right, so what should be happening is if you get that warranty, the only thing we have to pay for is the 2.5 to 3 hours it's going to take that water heater out and put another one in, because the manufacturer then pays for it. Water heater flushes, all that's good. I don't have a problem with that. But if you do a water heater flush, how do we get out to a water heater flush? That's my question. So I'll ask you, Nick, how do we get out to a water heater flush?
How do we get out to one?
Yeah. So how do we know when one's due?
How do we know when it's due?
Yeah.
The office tells us.
Okay. But they tell us, how do we put in the system so that it creates that reminder?
I'm not sure.
Okay. HPC.
Oh, it automatically.
And HPC automatically says, okay, it's time for a water heater flush. Okay, it's time for whatever. If it's an air conditioning, same thing with the air conditioning, tune-ups / maintenance of the filters, swapping them out. HPC is the only thing that will remind us that it's been sold. Okay? If you sell a water heater, we can go back and see what water. There's a way we can go back and see what water heaters we sold, when we sold them, and we can try to do that. But an HPC automatically does that.
Right.
Okay.
So we need something for the water heaters that we install without HPC.
Yeah. So if for a regular water heater, we can go back in and we can see it just because it's been sold. We can go back and see it. Same thing with a 10-year warranty. But we also have to see that the 10-year warranty plan was purchased for us to go beyond the 6 years, right? But the problem is people are out there trying to sell 10-year water heaters for 6-year prices or 6-year costs, put it that way. They're not including that extra paper. So all it is it's a little, comes in a little cardboard, small little booklet type of thing. You open it up and there's basically what the warranty covers. It's like a little booklet for the customer. And on the back of that, there's a little tear out that you mail to Bradford White, for an example. When you get one from Ferguson, and you put down the model number, the serial number, and all of that. It costs $125. All right. Also, inside that little booklet is a sticker that says 10-year warranty. It goes on a water heater. The customer gets the book that has the warranty number, showing that it's been purchased for them. Gives them all the warranty information in it. And basically, we put the sticker on for them. We mail that little card. There's no postage necessary, so all you do is fill out the little card, put it in the mail, you're done. And that now gives the 10-year or 12-year warranty to the customer. So we have to do that. And then, basically what I'm suggesting is whenever you do a water heater and you want to give them all those free flushes and everything, make sure you add an HPC. So I don't care if that's how you want to help sell the water heater. In addition to getting a 10-year warranty, you're getting these things, because guess what? What does the manufacturer recommend?
You get 1 year flush. For
the warranty. You got to flush your water heater every year. So if we don't recommend the HPC, then they're not going to get a free one. They're not going to remember to call us. So when you're selling the water heater, you have a little bit of wiggle room on how you sell it. So you can sell it with the HPC kind of included in there, maybe subtract a little bit of the price from the actual water heater, add the HPC in, make sure you add the warranty card in, and then you can kind of do your numbers there, see what you're going to make on your bid calculator and all that. But what I'm saying is I would recommend highly having the HPC. If not, if we look in the water heater sales for last year, for an example, and we go and we're trying to get water heater flushes out of them, then we're gonna have to charge the customer to go out and do a water heater flush, right? So depending on who sold that water heater, if they didn't tell them that, you know, we're in a situation now where a customer thinks that they're gonna get something for free and they don't have an HPC. We're not gonna go flushing water heaters every year for 10 years for free unless they have the HPC each and every time, right? So I'm just trying to let you guys know, when you sell a water heater, think about that. Think about selling an HPC, even if you got to, give them a discount on the HPC, not the HPC directly, but the water heater to make up for the HPC. Because the HPC really, we're getting that money to be able to go out and actually do the work when we send somebody out later on, right? So, and then the whole reason for the HPC is for us to see if there's any other work that might need to be done. Angle stops, supplies, toilets, whatever, right? Faucets, any other plumbing issues, drains, doesn't matter. Just get back out there and get something, or it could be HVAC. So I'm just kind of throwing that out at you because I know for a fact, I happen to find, the funny thing is I found a 10-year warranty certificate, the whole thing, here in the office in a bin. So somebody actually bought one, who knows how long ago, and never put it on the sticker didn't go on the tank, customer never got anything, nothing never got mailed out, so it was never really used. They may have said, okay, I bought it, but it never got used. So basically the company paid for it through Ferguson, and we just had it sitting here. So then as I'm watching one of our techs go out and they're selling a water heater, and it says 10-year water heater. And it was like $780 for all the parts. I'm like, there's no way. It's $125 just for this. So, I know it's gonna be closer to $1,000. So I called him up and said, did you get it? And he says, no. Okay, well, I'm gonna put this on there for you, and you're gonna get this to the customer, and I'm gonna mail this in there. Because, number one, I don't wanna go out there in year 7, 8, 9, or 10 and have to pay $1,000. All right, so for the 125 compared to 1,000, it's a no-brainer, right? So, we did that, and he's like, well, even though I had said it in a previous video that everyone's supposed to watch who isn't here today, or in one of the meetings, he said he didn't know that. Well, it's been that way forever. You don't just give them a 10-year warranty without actually paying for it, right? So that's how it is. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. There's no confusion on that at all. So we need to just make sure that that's happening on every single water heater that we're going to extend, okay? Alright, so that's pretty much what I want to talk about. Right now it's going to be our safety meeting, which has to do with driving, because as we get busier, we're going to be driving more, and there's a lot of crazy people out there, so.
Driving is one of the most common activities of the 21st century. And in fact, it has become so routine that most drivers feel they are on autopilot the minute they get behind the wheel. In reality, though, it shouldn't matter whether you're driving down the street, to the local grocery store, or if you operate a motor vehicle for a living. Driving safety must always be a priority. Although each and every one of us experiences distractions in our day-to-day activities, limiting these distractions while driving may mean the difference between life and death. In the next 15 minutes, we'll explore several common distracted driving behaviors, offer some suggestions about how to limit them, and show just how effective a little bit of pre-trip planning can be. First off, what exactly should be considered a distraction? Well, defined, distraction is any action that takes your attention off of your main responsibility, which in this case is driving. When driving, there are countless distractions happening all around you. They're happening even now as you're watching this video. So, get focused and take a closer look at several driving behaviors that you should avoid while operating a motor vehicle. When listening to your radio or putting in your favorite CD when driving is often a great way to pass the time, but there are several very important considerations that must be addressed. First of all, although you may be very familiar with the controls on your radio or CD player, it's suggested that you set these items, as well as other devices like climate control knobs, prior to beginning your trip. Taking your eyes off of the road to adjust these devices can become a distraction and hinder your ability to drive safely. Now, you might be saying, but it only takes a second or two to adjust my radio. While this is probably true, let's take a look at what can happen in the 1 to 2 seconds your eyes are off the road. On a city road traveling at 30 miles per hour, you travel at a rate of 44 feet per second, and in 2 seconds, 88 feet, and so on and so forth. Now, let's assume you're traveling about 60 miles per hour. You're being a cautious driver, and you've left 4 seconds, or approximately 350 feet of space between you and the vehicle in front of you. In the second or two spent changing the station on your radio, 165 feet are wasted due to the distraction. Your reaction time eats up another 80 feet, leaving only 105 feet to stop. And since most cars require a 175 feet to stop at 60 miles per hour, you simply don't have the space to stop safely. And these calculations are assuming you're driving a 4-door sedan. If you're driving a larger, heavier vehicle, your required stopping distance will be much greater. So you see why you can't afford to be distracted. Just a second or two can make the difference between being safe and being in an accident. Of course, in the real world, these controls will eventually require an adjustment. So here are a few suggestions on how to safely adjust your radio while driving. If you're traveling on a highway and need to make the adjustment, make sure you have plenty of space between you and the car in front of you, about 6 to 8 seconds. To check how much space you have, pick a mark on the road that the car in front of you is heading toward. When the car hits that mark, you begin counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you keep counting until you've passed the same mark. By practicing this simple concept, you can assure that you've always kept enough space between you and the driver in front of you. It's also recommended that you add on an additional second for each hazard that may exist at that moment, such as bad weather or road construction. Now, although the counting method can be very effective, it's still suggested that when traveling on city streets, you wait until you are stopped at a traffic signal or stop sign and then make the adjustment. Adjusting your radio and comfort controls are not the only potential distraction that a driver will face. Oftentimes, in a driver's haste to get on the road, they neglect to properly secure items within the car, back seat, cabin, and our cargo area. Now, this poses a significant risk to the driver, because we all know objects tend to shift while driving, leading to sudden noises or distracting movements that can take the driver's eyes off the road. Always make sure you take an extra moment or two to secure all items within the cargo and cabin areas of your vehicle. Take extra care with larger items that may shift while in transit and that could potentially cause loud and sudden noises. By minimizing the number of possible distractions that unsecured items can cause, a driver can spend more time concentrating on the most important task in front of them, driving. CDs, phone chargers, planners, or directions. Each of these is often a culprit in distracted driving. How, you may ask? Well, let's take a look. Oftentimes, drivers reach for these items frequently during their drive and usually place them within reach for easy review. Now, when the driver looks down to find directions or the CD case isn't exactly where they put it, this inevitably draws their eyes off of the road. And that's only the first part of the distraction. Once they locate it, well, now they have to reach it. And often that isn't an easy task, especially if it's on the floor or on the other side of the cabin. Remember, the primary responsibility is to stay focused and drive safely. So, how can a driver avoid this dilemma? Make sure the items you need during your drive is within reach and in a secure place that won't allow the item to slide around. That way, it's always where you put it, and you don't ever have to reach for it while you're driving. 74% of drivers report eating or drinking while driving. In fact, it is the third most common activity inside a vehicle. And while there aren't any laws prohibiting you from eating while driving, there are several inherent dangers that eating and drinking behind the wheel can cause. Like any other distracting behavior, eating while driving does not allow a driver to pay complete attention to the road and should be avoided. One of the more common and relatively newest distractions to the modern-day driver is technology. Now, while many of the technological advances made over the past several years have been designed to make our lives easier, technology can often be a significant distraction when used in combination with driving. An estimated 51% of all drivers use cell phones while operating their vehicle. And although it is obvious to many of us that dialing a phone number while driving or checking the caller ID display to see who is on the line may distract your attention from the road, many drivers don't consider using a cell phone a hazard. Unfortunately, this blatant disregard is the root of numerous accidents. Cell phone usage while driving has become such a problem that many states have introduced laws and legislation concerning the use of cell phones while behind the wheel and are enforcing the new laws in many states. It's the responsibility of the driver to be familiar with all state laws that govern the use of cell phones while driving. In fact, we should all be aware of some helpful tips and recommendations about using a cell phone while on the go. Whenever possible, allow all calls that occur while you're operating a motor vehicle to be answered by your voicemail system. You can retrieve the call when you've reached your destination or stopped at a safe place. However, if you must use a communication device while driving, keep the conversation short and to the point. Although another viable and/or legal option to traditional handheld cell phone usage while driving is often a hands-free set, it doesn't always mean that these devices are safe. Studies have shown that hands-free cellular phones distract drivers with the same frequency as handheld phones. But if you have the option, it is better to use your speakerphone or hands-free device to free up your hands for steering and shifting gears. So, what exactly is the best way to effectively use your cell phone while in transit? Well, we suggest that upon receiving a phone call, pull off the road and into a parking lot or other safe place away from other drivers. This will allow you to focus completely on the call and not jeopardize the safety of other motorists. This will also increase the productivity of your call, as you'll be able to take notes and reference any documents that are necessary for a productive phone call. Cell phone usage is not the only technological feature that can distract a driver's attention. PDAs, navigation systems, built-in entertainment systems like TV screens and onboard computer systems often pose a significant risk to a driver's safety. While these devices are all great technologies which provide us with information rather quickly, each one requires our attention and, more often than not, quite a bit of it, which means that our primary role of driving has yet again been compromised. Again, it is the responsibility of the driver to be familiar with their state's laws as well as their organization's policy in regards to usage of these technologies while driving. And if your job or a vacation requires you to travel across state lines, you should be familiar with that state's policy as well. While there are many distractions that take place in the interior of a vehicle, the distractions that occur outside of the vehicle also pose a serious risk to safe driving. Included in these exterior distractions are pedestrians, unfamiliar routes, and poor weather. Now, although these distractions can be problematic and often hazardous to a driver's safety, over the next few minutes, we'll show you how to identify these distractions and safely deal with situations that may arise at a moment's notice. Pedestrians are everywhere and are regarded by many motorists as a major distraction due to their unpredictable nature. As a motorist, it is impossible to foresee when or where a pedestrian may step into the street, crosswalk, or other area shared by your vehicle. With this said, It's recommended that all drivers adopt a policy to always yield to pedestrians. Now, while it's impossible to predict a pedestrian's next move, the following are several suggestions that will help you as a driver anticipate what a pedestrian may do next. When driving in areas with high pedestrian traffic, it's always important to keep your eyes in motion. These areas may include, but are not limited to, parking lots, shopping complexes, schools, and/or business parks. Survey your surroundings every 2 to 3 seconds and avoid gazing or staring at fixed objects. Remember, although pedestrians are not currently in a moving vehicle, it's important for you to maintain the same level of caution for them as you would towards other drivers. Drive defensively. This will allow you, as a driver, to be better prepared in the event that a pedestrian steps into the road in front of your vehicle. And as the old saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. Keep in mind that it is your responsibility to drive safely and stay focused. So be sure to incorporate pedestrian surveillance into your driving behavior rather than disregarding it or focusing exclusively on it. Unfamiliar territories are any place that you've not traveled before, whether it's an area you're visiting, a vacation spot, or simply an unfamiliar part of town. Sometimes even the simplest routine can pose a potential distraction if it's an unfamiliar one. As a driver, you can save yourself a lot of unneeded stress and worry by pre-planning your route and thoroughly reviewing maps of your destination prior to beginning your trip. Many times, though, it seems that no matter how much we prepare or how we think we know the area, getting lost is a fact of life. So how can we assure that we don't get lost? Well, we can't. But what we can do is minimize the distracting nature that getting lost often causes. Try these techniques the next time you find yourself confused about your location. First, aim high. Keep your eyes searching far enough down the road while looking for your location. Next, when you feel you're getting close to your destination, pull over and stop. Examine your surroundings, cross streets, and nearby addresses. Map out how far you are from your desired location and continue on from there. Do this technique as often as necessary until you have safely located your destination. If you happen to pass your destination and you need to go back, don't back up. Continue forward until it is safe to turn around. Backing up in traffic is a major hazard, especially if you're driving a large truck or passenger van. Simply continue forward to the next safe place to turn around and come back to your desired location. It's always easier and safer to keep a vehicle moving forward where you can see what is in front of you than it is backing up. That's why whenever possible, always avoid backing up. Remember, your job is to drive safe and to stay focused on the situations around you. Bad weather can be an obstacle in all of our lives, especially when it comes to driving. Snow, rain, wind, fog, and fatigue all have serious effects on the flow of traffic and our ability to drive safely. And because each of these elements could easily encompass an entire lesson on their own, here are some basic tips to help you prevent weather-related distractions. It's important that you realize the hazards weather can create and make adjustments to your driving accordingly. Leave more time and plan ahead. It's imperative that you realize that the flow of traffic will be slower than normal in the event of bad weather, and you should plan your trip accordingly. By giving yourself more time to safely get to your destination, you will lessen many of the distractions and stresses that are inherent when driving in poor weather. Reduce your speed. Certain weather conditions, including fog, snow, and rain, can extremely hinder a driver's visibility. Therefore, reduce your speed and allow a greater distance between you and the car in front of you. Use good judgment. Driving in extremely poor weather should be avoided if at all possible. If you feel that the weather outside will not allow you to operate your vehicle safely, postpone your trip and watch the weather reports until it is safe to drive again. If you're already en route, pull over to a safe area out of the way of other motorists, away from potential bad weather hazards. Try to park in an area clear of trees and other structures that could potentially fall on the vehicle due to heavy rain, wind, and lightning. No matter how many precautions you have or how cautious of a driver you are, someone or something can easily cause you to become distracted. It is, however, your responsibility as a driver to be equipped with the necessary driving knowledge and ready to respond to any and all driving situations. When you're distracted, you have the potential to become a distraction to others. Don't be the one that sets off a chain reaction of driving distractions and hazards. Just remember, it is your job and your responsibility to drive safe and stay focused while driving. Your spouse, your kids, your employer, and coworkers all count on it.
Alright. I know that was a pretty basic, driving video, but the biggest thing I want to say is, what's our policy on driving and using cell phones?
Can't do it.
Okay, so I mean, what's the law, first of all, we can say that.
Can't talk on the cell phone if you're driving.
Yeah, I mean,
Not a
so.
hands-free device.
Exactly. So my recommendation is, guys, and the company policy is, if you gotta answer your phone or talk on the phone while you're driving, pull over. Just pull over where it's safe, as soon as you're able to. If you can't answer the phone, pull over as soon as you are, that it's a safe place to pull over, call us back. Call dispatch back, find out what's going on, deal with it then. If you're a passenger, obviously, you can answer the driver's phone, that's fine. But if you're driving the vehicle, pull over, don't just start talking on the phone. If you have a hands-free device, if there isn't anywhere to pull over, I don't necessarily want you to pull over in the middle of the freeway when it's unsafe, right? I mean, be in a safe place. Or, and if you have a hands-free device, answer it, say, hey, I'll call you right back. Let me get in a safe place. But do it that way just to save yourselves. The biggest thing is most of our vehicles are a little bit larger or at least heavier with all the equipment we have in them. They do take longer to stop than a normal van would or a normal car would. So we don't have as much inclement weather. We did a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, but most of the time we don't. Which actually makes it worse when we do have inclement weather. Why? Because those idiots don't know how to drive. It's the other guys you got to watch out for too. So, just be careful with it. I just want to make sure that I kind of reiterate this, because we're going to start getting busier, driving more, a lot of crazy people out there. So give yourself that extra room, just because of the weight of our vehicles, and especially if we have tires that are starting to wear and get thin. I mean, I'm replacing this a little bit at a time, because it seems like most of them need to be replaced. But same thing, if you have something that's a real serious, brakes are out, or real danger to you, serious danger, you let me know and I'll do everything I can to get it fixed right away, or swap you out into another vehicle. But just be safe out there. Okay? Any questions? Pretty simple. All right, that's it, guys. Let's get going. Everyone signed?
Yeah.